You know, there are some words we use all the time and think we know inside and out. Wildlife is one of them. But what does it really mean? And what's our relationship to it? Well, it turns out it's way more complex and honestly more fascinating than you probably think. So let's dive in.
Okay, so when I say the word wildlife, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? Go on, picture it. Got it? Good. Hold on to that image because we're about to take a much, much closer look.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet it was something like this, right? Maybe some majestic lions roaming the savanna, or a bald eagle soaring high above a mountain peak. It's this idea of nature that's, well, untouched by people. And that's the popular image, the romantic idea we all kind of grow up with.
But here's the thing. The reality is so much bigger, and actually a lot closer to home than you'd think. To really get what wildlife is, we've got to move past that postcard picture and look at what the science actually says.
Okay, so here's the official definition. Wildlife is all the undomesticated animals and uncultivated plants. Basically, any organism that lives wild in an area without being put there by humans. The key word here? Undomesticated. It's not about being untouched by us, it's about not being under our direct control. So think everything from the tiniest bug to the biggest whale.
And this right here, this just lays it all out. The myth versus the reality. We have this idea that wildlife is out there, somewhere totally separate from us. But the scientific truth? It's everywhere. It's been affected by us, sure, but it's adapted. Think about the animals in a city alley, the mice, the feral cats. Guess what? They are, by definition, wildlife.
So that brings us to our relationship with the wild. And wow, is it complicated? It's this incredible story of contradictions. It's like we're capable of deep love and reverence on one hand and just shocking destruction on the other, sometimes at the exact same time.
I mean, look at our deep connections. For so many cultures, animals hold huge spiritual significance, like eagles for Native Americans or cows in Hinduism. We are absolutely captivated by wildlife stories. It's fueled a massive media industry, from classic shows like Wild Kingdom to the incredible documentaries we see today. And of course, wildlife tourism is huge. Millions of us travel the globe just to get a glimpse.
And when I say huge, I mean huge. We're talking $120 billion. That's what wildlife tourism pumps into the global economy every single year. A number that big tells you just how much we value seeing the wild, up close and personal. But for all the watching and the worshiping, there's the waste. There's a much, much darker side to how we interact with wildlife. And that's the global wildlife trade, both legal and illegal.
This chart, wow, this really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? When we talk about illegal trade, we usually think of drugs or weapons. But look at this, the illegal wildlife trade is right up there. It's one of the biggest black markets on the planet. We're not talking about a few small-time poachers. This is massive, organized crime.
And this quote from conservationist Chris Shepard really brings it home. It's not just some abstract global problem. It's a direct threat to the incredible biodiversity in places like Malaysia. The demand for things like pangolin scales or exotic pets is literally wiping out entire populations.
Okay, so our impact is pretty clear, for better and for worse. But what about the lives of animals when we're not in the picture at all? This brings us to a really tough topic. We have this idyllic idea of the untouched wild, but for the animals living in it, it's a constant, brutal struggle for survival.
This has a name: wild animal suffering. And the key phrase to focus on is arising from natural processes. This isn't about what humans do. This is about the inherent harshness of just being alive in the wild.
And what does that actually look like? Well, it's a pretty tough list to read. For most wild animals, life is just a constant battle against disease, parasites, injury, starvation, dehydration, not to mention extreme weather, natural disasters, and the constant psychological stress of trying not to get killed by another animal. You know the saying, nature red in tooth and claw? This is it. And it raises some really complicated ethical questions. If this suffering is natural, do we have any responsibility or even a right to step in? It's a debate that really challenges that romantic view of the wild.
But even that natural suffering is now being completely overshadowed by something new, something unprecedented. We've literally entered a new geological age defined by our impact. It's called the Anthropocene. And for wildlife, it's nothing short of an extinction crisis.
Just let this number sink in for a second. 68%. According to the World Wildlife Fund, that's how much global wildlife populations have dropped since 1970.
an average drop of 68%. That's in the lifetime of so many of us watching right now, and it's a direct result of human activity.
And it's getting worse, fast. The UN now estimates that about 1 million species of plants and animals are facing extinction, many of them within decades. This is a scale of loss our planet hasn't seen since the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs.
Scientists have a name for this, the sixth mass extinction. But here's the difference. The other 5 were caused by things like asteroids or massive volcanic eruptions. This one has a single cause, us. So the big question is, how? How are we doing this?
Well, it really boils down to 4 main things. First, you've got overkill. That means hunting and fishing animals way faster than they can reproduce. Second, and this is the big one, is habitat destruction. We clear land for our farms, our cities, for timber, basically paving over and plowing under the places wildlife needs to live. Third is introduced species. Think about invasive species that get introduced, sometimes by accident, and they just wreak havoc on native wildlife that has no defenses. And finally, there are chains of extinction. This is a terrifying domino effect. You lose one key species, say a really important pollinator, and the entire ecosystem that depended on it can just collapse.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning. Remember that first image that popped into your head? After all this, after understanding the real definition, our incredibly complicated relationship, and the profound crisis that wildlife is facing, what do you picture now when you hear that word? Because that new picture, that might just be the first step toward changing the future.